My sister-in-law is bitter that her ex proposed to me, and it led to her being banned from our family. My 27 female fiancés is now my older brother's wife, so my sil. To make it less confusing, my fiancé is George, my brother is David, and my sil is Ella. George, 38 male, briefly dated Ella, 34 female, 4 years ago. Ella wanted to get married and have kids, but George did not want this with her. He was also having a lot of issues back then, partying, doing drugs, and not being the most reliable person. They dated for 6 months and everything ended in drama, because Ella was not able to make George want to settle with her. Soon after their breakup, she met my brother, and they got married 6 to 7 months after. So yeah, they moved really fast, and basically Ella dated her ex, broke up with him, met my brother and got married to him. Everything in only 1 year and a couple of months. I met George 2 years ago, and at that time Ella was already married to my bro. Back then I had no idea that George was Ella's ex. When George started to feel attracted to me, he changed completely. He quit drinking and doing drugs. He has been sober ever since. Started going to therapy and overall became a new person. He did this because he wanted to change, and I have been with him during his entire healing journey. I am very proud of him, and we have a healthy and amazing relationship. Even if Ella was already married to my brother, she was furious when she found out I was dating George, and that he was serious with me. She was so cruel and said a lot of nasty lies. She used to tell everyone that George was grooming me. I was 25 when we became a thing and he was 36. This is not grooming FF. She lied that George was abusing me, trying to get me to become an addict like him, and many other things. This ruined my relationship with my brother because he never did anything to make her stop. George and I announced our engagement to my family last week during my dad's birthday. My parents were happy for us, but Ella said it must be nice to be the one to get the ring after someone else struggled to fix him. Again, no reaction from my brother as usual. My parents told her to stop, but I just snapped and told her something along the lines, he fixed himself, you POs. And yes, it is nice to know I will be married to the man I love more than anything, and who loves me the same. But how is it for you knowing that no one else except my idiot brother ever wanted to marry you? Does it feel nice? My parents kicked them out after this. They told her that everybody had enough of her BS. She is insane, because although being married, she is still bitter over the fact that her ex did not want her. She is officially banned from every family event, and my brother is now blaming me. So Ada in this situation? I don't think I am, honestly, but I want to also hear some unbiased perspective. Comments. Comment 1. I don't know why, but updates like the first one in this series, where they go point by point and address a bunch of questions or issues raised in the comments of the original that wind up being longer than the actual update, annoy me. It's not like clarification is bad. Comment 2. I don't know about posting about a sibling's emotional health journey instead of quelling the rumors directly. She aired her brother's business without his consent, and IDK why she casually threw out abuse out of nowhere. Oop obviously isn't the bad guy in this situation, but I ended up having to skim because of how insufferable I found her. She comes across as pretty smug in the first post that her fiancé didn't change for Sil, but just being attracted to Oop led him to turning his life around. Maybe it's me, but the vibe of this whole thing felt off. Update 2. For those who were not on the same page, I understand and respect that you have a different opinion. From my initial post, I have left out a lot of details because it's a long story, but some of you were curious about what actually happened and asked me to provide more details, so buckle up. I will do just that. How I met my future husband. I got asked a lot if I live in a trailer park or small town with only a bar available. The answer is no, we actually live in a big city with a population of a couple millions of people. I met my fiancé through a mutual friend. My girlfriend was dating one of George's colleagues, and they all began to hang out for drinks after work since they were all in the same building. At some point I had no plans for that day, and my girlfriend invited me to go with them to a bar, and this is how we were introduced. After this we started having different group activities together, and things slowly progressed. George targeted his ex's younger Sil. Despite her, there was no coincidence that we started dating. As absurd as it may sound, it was indeed an ironic coincidence. You may think, out of the millions of people there are in a city, what are the chances for you to start dating your Sil's ex? Well, it happened to me, and we did not know about it in the beginning. The girlfriend that asked me to go with them to a bar did not know Ella, never saw her IRL, and she never saw her with George. When George met me, he had no idea that I had any connection to Ella, so there was no chance for him to be an evil mastermind and intentionally date me just to spite her. I did not take George home to meet my family immediately either. Maybe I am the weird one, but I was never the type to parade my boyfriends in front of my parents if I was not sure the relationship was going to last. I broke the girls' code. I do not consider that I did. Let's be clear, I have a couple of true friends. They have been my friends for many years and I would do anything for them. I am a very loyal person and I know the girls' code very well. When we eventually found out the connection Ella had with both of us, I was shocked and I asked the same question that many of you did: what were the chances? It was a very uncomfortable position to be in. Even though I had no relationship with Ella except the obvious one of her being my sil, it was strange to know that they dated. I wanted to find out what happened before taking any decision and I did. The way I saw things, there was no reason for me to punish George for having a past. We were in love, we were happy, and Ella was already married to my brother. I may have been selfish, but I thought, is this man and our relationship worth it? And the answer was yes. To me he was, is, and will always be worth it. Also, we see my brother and Ella only a couple of times a year. Most of the times, for obvious reasons, we prefer to visit my parents separately. George's addictions. So many of you reached out to me being concerned about this, and I wanted to thank you for caring and say I am sorry you had to go through traumatic experiences with addicts. Some of your stories were hard to read and I appreciate immensely that you were open to share your experiences with a stranger. I understand why most of you were triggered by my story, but George was not that type of addict. He had a lot of unresolved trauma. He was lonely, unloved and ashamed, so his coping mechanism were parties, alcohol and drugs. His entourage was also not the best. You can imagine that a bunch of 36 years old party boys, girls are no good, but at the end of the day, when everyone else went home to their families, wives and kids, these were the people who could provide company to George. I think it was more like all of them providing company to each other so they could feel less lonely. But other than this, George was a functional adult. He had a stable, well-paying job. He was, and is still working as a software engineer. He was never violent at CC. George changed for me? No. George changed for himself and because he wanted to. He told me that I was the trigger that made him want to get his life in order, but in a more meaningful way than just wanting to get into my pants. When we started hanging out as a group with my friend and his colleague, he learned how easy it was to interact and have fun without drugs or alcohol. He also saw that I enjoyed spending time with him. I looked forward to seeing him every time, and he understood that his sober self is not unlovable. He was longing for healthy relationships and normality, but until that moment he felt like he was not deserving to have them. I think the way I helped him was solely because I saw and fell in love with his true self, and that gave him confidence and purpose. I am the golden child. There is no such thing in our family. My parents love my brother and I the same. Of course, when they heard Ella's BS the first time, they were worried for me, but I was open with them. I told them how things happened. George was honest, and never hid his troubled past from them, and in the end they were okay with our relationship. My parents trust me, trust my judgment, and they only want to see me happy. And in regards to Ella, my parents are just doing what every parent should: defend their child. She was warned before. My parents talked to her, asked her to stop acting like this, and told her she is out of line, so it's not like they kicked her out the first time it happened. Now into the update. Yesterday I contacted my brother and asked him to meet me for coffee. It was only the two of us, and I think it was the first time I have opened my heart like this in front of him. I started off by apologizing for him being caught in the middle, but I told him I will never apologize or be sorry for loving George. I was honest and told him how much this situation has been affecting me. My brother is the same age as my fiancée, so he is 11 years older than me. During our childhood he was my protector, the person I looked up to. Due to our age difference, we never really had many activities in common, and I could not wait for the moment I grow up, so I can get to share more with my brother as adults. But I did not get the chance to do this because of Ella. David would always teach me to value myself, to choose people who treat me right, and make me happy. However, I am not able to share my happiness with him anymore. I understand why he would wish I never met George, but it still hurts knowing that your brother somehow resents the source of your happiness. David would always defend me when I was younger, even in front of our parents. When I was 15, I was experimenting with makeup and it looked bad. Really bad. During a family function, one of our uncles got drunk and told me to stop using makeup because I was too young to look like a hooker. David got mad and kicked him out for offending his sister. This is the kind of brother he used to be, and to now see how he stays aside and allows his wife to be offensive and cruel, it's really hurtful. I do not care that she is like that towards me. I don't like Ella at all, and I could easily ignore her. But what gets to me the most is she constantly trying to belittle and humiliate my future husband. I have lived with this man for 2 years. I have shared so many things with him during this time, and I am certain I know better what kind of man he is. I know how hard it was for him to heal all his trauma. I know how hard he worked day by day to become the best version of himself. I know how much he loves me, protects me, supports me, and I simply lose it when I hear her crap. and how she is constantly trying to bring him down. Yes, I go bear mode when he is involved, as someone told me in the comments, but I don't care. I will not allow any of my family members to abuse the person I love. I may have tolerated things for my brother's sake, but I will never be quiet in front of his BH of a wife. I told my brother that I love him, and I will always cherish the memories I have with him, but we cannot go on like this. I understand he is a victim and I am ready to do anything for him, if he is willing to accept that his marriage is not good, that Elle is not a good woman and is abusing him. I cannot force him to divorce her, because this has to be his choice, but I told him I will accept his decision no matter what that is. He will always be my brother, but George is my family now. We plan on having kids in the near future, and there is no way in hell I will ever allow his lunatic of a wife to be near my kids. I also refuse to subject George to the abuse. We tried. We thought that this rough period will eventually pass, and that everything will be okay, but unfortunately Ella became more and more bitter and disgusting. We will still see my parents, but I am standing my ground and will not go to their house if she is present. David and I cried a lot, and for the first time in many years I felt like I had my brother back. He apologized over and over again and explained a lot of things to me, which gave me the chance to understand him better. But at the same time I am so angry that I had no idea what was happening to my brother. Some people said that David was a rebound for Ella, but it seems they were both a rebound for the other. What made them marry so fast was the age pressure. My brother was feeling like it was very hard to connect with someone, and the prospect of being able to have a family of his own seemed very far away, until Ella came and offered him the possibility to have exactly what he wanted without too much struggle. So yeah, in the end I guess we are all some messed up people in a way or another. I don't know what's going to happen. David said he plans to take some time, go away alone for a couple of days and think what he wants to do. But he said that when he'll be back he wants to have a chat with George to apologize to him as well for everything that has happened. My brother knows that everything Ella says is false. He said everyone is able to see how much George loves me, and that we make a great couple, and there are times when he wished to also have something like this in his life. He told me he is proud of the woman I have become, and that no matter what happens, I will always be his little sister. After this I went home and cried some more with George besides me. I have tried to play strong and denied myself to feel hurt for so long that yesterday I have finally exploded. But it was good because now I feel better. Update 2. My brother David is divorcing his wife, and we found out a lot of details about her. As expected, she is not taking the divorce lightly. As planned, David did take some time for himself and went to a retreat cabin for a week. He went there alone because he wanted to have the space and time to rethink his life choices. This was exactly what he told Ella, but left out the location because he did not want to risk her showing up there. The first day he was away, Ella contacted my parents and me to ask us about my brother's location. We did not disclose anything. On Wednesday that week I was contacted by some of my brother's friends. They wanted to know if my brother was okay and if it was true that David was cheating on Ella. Initially I was very confused on why would they think that, but they told me that Ella has been going around complaining to people that my brother was cheating on her, and that we, his family, were on board with it, and covering up his affair. I told my bro's friends that this was not true, but I decided to be petty, so I went on social media, uploaded a photo of me with my brother, and wrote how proud I am of him, that he is taking this time to focus on mental health and his well-being. Some hour later Ella called me and demanded I take down my post, because I was embarrassing her. I played dumb and asked her why would a post dedicated to my brother would ever embarrass her. She never answered, never admitted to lying, and I never took down my post. It will stay where it is for posterity. After my brother returned from the retreat he asked me, George and my parents to meet up at our parents' place and talk. He apologized for everything that happened with his wife and told us a lot of things about Ella. Apparently she is a very jealous person and she has a constant need to put others down so she can look better or feel superior. Bro gave us a lot of examples of shitty things she did, including to some of her relatives and supposed friends. One of her female cousins works for a transport company, so most of her colleagues at work are men. Ella told this cousin's husband that there are high chances of her cousin cheating since she spends every day surrounded by men. Her cousin was pregnant at that time, and I don't know if she was trying to imply the baby may not be her husband's, but still. Needless to say, they don't speak to Ella anymore. She had a girlfriend who got into a relationship with a guy. Ella kept telling this girl bad things about her partner that she supposedly heard from other people. She was never able to tell who she heard it from, most likely she invented everything. That's why her family members avoid her and never invite her to functions, and she does not have any friends. People from their circle were friends with my bro before he married her, so they are just tolerating her for his sake. I mentioned that Ella must be abusing my brother, and a lot of people took it the wrong way. When I mentioned abuse, I did not mean it as physical abuse, but more like emotional abuse. I guess everyone has their own way of seeing things, but for me, being married and still being pissed about things that happened with your ex years ago is clearly a sign of disrespect towards your spouse. And if someone is able to openly disrespect their spouse over and over again in front of their family, it's a high chance for that person to do more than disrespect behind closed doors. My bro clearly struggles to see his self-worth at the moment, and this is also the reason why he accepted too many things from his wife. But we will be with him, always support him and remind him what an awesome guy he is. Also, many people were outraged and called me an for calling my brother an idiot. I don't know if all of your families and relationships are like those you see in commercials, but in real life siblings fight, and sometimes when they fight, they may call each other's names. This doesn't mean I don't love my brother or that I don't respect him, but if I see him acting like an idiot, I will always say it to his face and explain why I think he is an idiot. I apologize for calling him an idiot, and he said there is no need to apologize because he expects me to always be honest with him, even if sometimes the truth may hurt. And I understand because I expect the same from him. Anyways, David confronted Ella with everything that she has been doing and told her she needs to get help. She refuses to accept she has any problem. She states that everything that she has ever done came from a place of love and care for that person. Relight. Because when you care for your cousin, you lie to her husband that she may be cheating on him, or when you care for your sil, you lie to everyone that she is forced to do drugs by her partner. She did not take the divorce well, but not because she was losing my brother, but because she saw this as a failure that shattered her perfect image she had of herself. Maybe after some time passes I will actually be able to feel sorry for her because she is a sad person with so many issues that refuses to get help. Of course, Ella blamed the divorce on me and our family, claiming that David is choosing us over her, so clearly she does not take any kind of responsibility for her actions. David, however, warned her that if she continues spreading lies about our family, we will hire a lawyer and take legal actions against her. At the end of the day, if she still insists with her crap, she will have to prove everything in court. Of course, we don't want to get to this, but she needs to understand that we cannot say whatever we want about other people and not face the consequences. In the meantime, George and I are planning our wedding and my bro will be George's groomsman. They really had the chance to bond, and even discovered they actually have a lot in common. I don't want to be mean, but ever since Ella is out of the picture, our family gatherings happen more often than before and the atmosphere is so light. My brother is slowly going back to his old self. He is having a good time with us, no stress, no dissociating, he is just present and enjoying. So that's it for now. I don't know if this was the update you were expecting, but I can say I am happy. We are slowly healing from everything that had happened this past years, and I am positive that in the end we will be closer and stronger than before. Now, for the next story. Ida for crying when my boyfriend let his best friend's wife change the dish I spent time and effort making for dinner. My boyfriend, 28 male, and I, 22 female, met at work 2 years ago. Technically I was working part-time during undergrad and he was a customer, but after a couple of months we started going out. I really love this man and nothing has happened on this scale before, so I'm very confused about it. My BF has a very tight group of friends. I am well acquainted with them, and their girlfriends. One of them, Dave, just is married to Ellie, fake names. Ellie is an excellent cook and often hosts dinners, and everyone brings a dessert to those dinners. I am the youngest in the group, so most times they brush off my requests for contributing, or bringing in a dessert. However, the last time I asked Dave and Ellie if they wanted anything extra like wine or some sweet dish for dinner, they said I could bring one of those sweet dishes I make for my boyfriend. I'm Indian, and even though I can't cook as well as my mom, and I'm, well, in a different country for studies, I called my mom up and had her teach me properly how to make a specific Bengali sweet, which is my favorite. I had my friends taste it, and they said it was great. My boyfriend ate some and said it was excellent. Except last night I greeted Ellie and kept the dish in the kitchen. When the food was brought out and my boyfriend told everyone I made it, I saw that someone had added cinnamon powder to the sweet. You never have the sweet with cinnamon powder. The dessert tasted like cinnamon and I felt horrible. Though everyone said thank you and it was good, I think my face gave it away, and my boyfriend took me aside and said that Ellie had told him that my sweet looked too white and thought some cinnamon might bring some color into it. I don't know, I just felt awful, and I started to tear up. My boyfriend then defended Ellie, and said that his friends already think I'm a child and not make a big deal of this and we will talk about it. I told him Ellie asked him first, couldn't he have told her not to add cinnamon to the sweet? He told me he didn't think it was a big deal, and asked me to drop the topic on the way home. I didn't text him good night, and this morning he said he was sorry and said my crying made him feel like an awful person. Comments. Comment 1. Take out it being an Indian dish. If she made a bread pudding or lemon meringue pie, and someone went and dumped a spice on the whole ass dish, that's messed up. It's dicked. So these self-righteous asses acting like it was AOK to do it to an Indian dish is stupid AF. Comment 2. In case oopsies, this therapy gets worse before it gets better. But it gets better. Stick with it, and if it's too hard one week and you just need to spend a session talking about what you've watched on TV because you're just not up to it that week, that's okay. It's your time, your session. It's okay to use it for what you need. I've definitely had full sessions where I just talked about Great British Bake Off because I didn't have the emotional bandwidth at that moment. Update. I never asked if I should leave my boyfriend for this. I asked if this was an overreaction, my crying. But having thousands of people tell me this was racially charged, Ellie wanted power, my BF is shitty, etc., my brain went haywire. BF called yesterday, and when I got there, his house with my best friend Dave and Ellie were there. Ellie was crying and Dave looked really pissed at me. My BF told me to sit down and Dave started with how could I make a post that most of the people in the dinner party would recognize and know, and could shame Ellie and my BF. My BF was silent, and wouldn't even look at me, and was only shaking his head. It felt like I was a kid being scolded by my parents with my elder sibling disappointed in my actions. That is what I felt, and it looked. I admit, it was very spineless of me, but Dave went on for like a minute, and I was just looking at my BF waiting for him to defend me. I asked Ellie, why would she alter my dish, after telling me to bring an Indian dish? She said she thought Indian food would be brown. This woman has more Indian friends than me, and she thinks Indian food is brown. She grew up in the UK, FFS, and I felt so defeated. The comments my friends and people around me telling me his friends came first to him, not me. He said he didn't think the sweet was a big deal. I told him I would never let my friend alter something he spent 3 days learning, getting people to taste it and got his mom involved in. He saw I put a lot of effort into it, so why let her alter it? Why couldn't he ask me? Me. Ellie started to cry and say that she wasn't being racist, and she wouldn't know that I put effort into it, and now she couldn't host dinners again. I said I used fake names, so why does it matter? Unless she and Dave went around telling people. BF told me he didn't expect this from me. My best friend piped up that he expected that my BF would have a effing spine, so I guess they were both disappointed. My IG now ex-BF told me, in front of Dave and Ellie, that he needs some space. I told him to get lost. I don't know what my best friend said to him after that, considering I left BF's flat. I kind of tripped in the metro station, so now I'm crying on my best friend's couch with an ice pack while his BF keeps giving me peach schnapps and my relationship has toppled over. I wouldn't have stormed out, had he looked at me once. He just looked 100% on Dave and Ellie's side, and acted like I was the one with the problem when she caused me hurt. If his friends come first when they cause me hurt, where would I have been, if I decided to marry this man? My friends are good to me and are acting like I'm some fragile glass. I even heard my best friend and his brother whispering loudly from the kitchen and his elder brother wanting to threaten him via Insta DMs. I hate that this has come to this, considering I have always been the mom friend to my friend group. I'm drunk while writing this, so have some grace in the comments. Also, if you'll be an incel like those people in my DMs, telling me I'll never keep a man if I'm this dramatic, please go away. I just thought I needed to update, that's it. Thanks guys. Bye. Edit guys, this is the first time I've faced what y'all have been calling racism. TBH, I didn't see LA putting cinnamon into my Rosagula as racism. I was just hurt that my days of hard work was ruined, that's it. I understand I need to work on my self-esteem, and not let people walk over me. My best friend's elder brother, he's a doctor, and is super pissed at my ex-RN. Because he didn't know what happened, booked an appointment with a therapist he knows, as he thinks I need mental help to not normalize aggressive behavior. I'm sorry for ranting on Reddit, but I guess that's where I am. Both my best friend and I will be going. He had been there for some time before. And the situation is tense at home, because Dada Bestie's brother didn't know what was happening, and tore my friends a new one for not protesting when Dave said shit to me. I still haven't told him it was over a Reddit post, and that I'm writing here. I feel awful. And I don't know how to tell my mom she was right. I wish I never went out with him. One of my ex's friends from the dinner party asked me if I really left my ex over a dessert, so I guess that's what he told people. It hurts. I know it shouldn't, but it hurts. I think it is partially my fault. I shouldn't have let myself be treated like this. There were signs and I ignored them, and now I think I'll never have another relationship because it feels like a horrible, anxious feeling. New update. My ex called a few times last week. I had blocked him earlier, literally like 2 days after breaking up, and whenever he called my friends they wouldn't pick up either. I wanted to handle this matter gracefully, and unlike what some people commented, no, I did not want my issues all over the internet, and did not understand what was happening. I just wanted some advice on how to deal with my emotions and didn't want my friends to be mad at my then BF. Thankfully, the trash took itself out. I still don't know if Ellie was racially motivated or if she just hated me. I don't even care now. I don't want a man who makes his friends scold me and humiliate me. I know I deserve to be at least somebody's first choice. X came by at my best friend's flat. I don't live there. And from what I heard from my bestie's boyfriend, he said he was very sorry, and he now felt like I didn't deserve to be treated like that. He had thought, when he broke up with me, that I was overreacting, and it was just a small thing I made a big deal out of. But then a few of his friends explained to Ellie that it definitely was a horrible thing to do, and told my ex he was a shit BF. Huh. Who knew he had nice friends too? X didn't say anything more after that. Just he was sorry and he said he doesn't want more hurt between us. I have decided to not contact him. I'm just done. A lecture from my mother on dating idiot men and crying every night for over a week has made me lethargic. And on top, I am fending off Dada Bestie's elder brothers insisting that I move in with them for some time. Because I'm not eating well, my dad said it's okay if I do. My family trusts my bestie and his family a lot. Needless to say, my work and studies are suffering. I haven't heard from Ellie or Dave and I don't intend to. The person who asked me if I left my ex over a desert, I told her what happened and she was appalled. I don't know what she told my ex, for him to apologize. Honestly, I'm so done with that group's shit. I went to one therapy session and I didn't feel good. I know I have to keep going for it to actually help me, but I can't help feeling so down. I have never been so emotionally low in my life and I am officially not dating for the foreseeable future. I am planning a trip with friends after my final semester of my master's and I really hope I don't bring the mood down, for my friends who have been so supportive and have always made me feel I have family, even though I'm away from home. I don't know what I would have done without having my best friend and his boyfriend, who keep telling me to drink the pain away, and Dada keeps on talking about the negative effects of becoming an alcoholic. Overall, I'm closing this chapter, and I don't think I'll need to update again. I'm not ever talking again to Dave and Ellie or my ex, so I don't expect any more drama. I just want to settle down to work and graduate properly. Now, for the next story. Am I the idiot for telling my sister that I can't be her surrogate, even though I know how much it means to her? Excuse my errors in etiquette. I'm not a frequent to Reddit. My friend suggested I use her throwaway account to make this post, so please be gentle with me as much as strangers on the internet can be. I, Celeste 30 female, have an identical twin sister. We'll call her Stacy for the sake of the story. Our mother unfortunately passed in child labor and we were raised by our father. Stacy has been married to Jeff for 8 years. I have been in a relationship with Mike for 3 years now. One thing I've always known about my sister is that she wanted to be a mom. Even when we were children, she was always thinking about wedding ideas, nursery themes, baby names, etc. I was always more focused on books and having fun. I am now a flight attendant. I am also attempting to become a published author. My sister has not worked, ever honestly. When we graduated high school, we went straight to college. She met her boyfriend in college, and once she graduated became a stay-at-home girlfriend, until she became his wife. I have known for a while that my sister has been attempting to become pregnant, unsuccessfully. She has experienced a single miscarriage, and has been unable to become pregnant again after thousands and thousands of dollars being spent on IVF, and pretty much anything they could do because she wanted to experience pregnancy. After 5 years of no success, they have started to discuss other options. My sister isn't interested in adoption and is very adamant on having a child that has both of their DNA, her words not mine. About 3 weeks ago she came to my house and we were hanging out as we usually do, just chatting and watching Modern Family. She told me she had a serious question and needed to ask me while she still had her nerves. It scared me, but she asked if I could be her surrogate. I was frozen for a second and asked what she meant. She told me that I know what a surrogate was. She needed me to be her surrogate. I expressed that she knew that I wasn't interested in having children. This could definitely be due to how we came into the world, but I'll be honest and say I have never found the thought of having children appealing in any way. I told her that I would have zero issue with donating my eggs to her. However many she needed, she could have them all, but I could not carry her child. Upon hearing that, she became so angry. Her face was so red and she was just yelling about how it's obvious how jealous and hateful I am because this is a small task. I didn't want to bring it to her attention that she has always spoke about having more than 4 kids, would the expectation be for me to do this every time? I don't know, I'm starting to feel so bad. She ended up telling me that if I couldn't do this one thing for her, how could I ever call myself her sister? She broke a picture of us I have sitting on my mantle and stormed out. Since then she's only texted me pictures of her diaries from when we were kids, and all of their vision boards saying that I'm stopping her from creating a family for no reason, and to think about the bigger picture. My boyfriend refuses to give me advice, saying that it's my sister and he doesn't feel comfortable attempting to sway me in either direction because it's such a touchy subject. Honestly, this is the longest I've ever gone without communicating with my sister, and I am seriously on the verge of giving in. Am I the idiot for not wanting to be a surrogate for my identical twin sister? Edit. I am reading all the comments and I want to say thank you so much. I feel so much better knowing I'm not the villain, but I would be lying if I said I am not leaning towards just doing it. This disconnect with my sister brings me immense discomfort in ways I cannot verbally express, but I see two frequent questions I want to answer to hopefully get different answers. Money. My mother did not die of natural causes. It was provider error. My father sued the hospital and my sister and I have sizable trusts with that money. So money is not an issue for either of us, and her husband is financially well off as well. So not working for 9 months, or paying for the egg retrieval process etc. isn't an issue in any way. It's more so her stubbornness for the baby to share our DNA, and for one of us to be carrying it. Since we're identical, if she can't have a baby, how can I? Her lack of being able to have a child is due to a car accident we were in, which is also the source of the miscarriage she experienced. Due to her being in the front seat with our father, they took the brunt of the crash, unfortunately. Her body is now unable to carry a child and she has had extremely complications with egg retrieval. I'm not sure about the details of how that has gone wrong. Just that it is not working, and not an option. It is hard to get her to discuss non-viable options so I can gain a better understanding. Doctors will not allow me to be a surrogate due to me not having a child. Thank you so much for this information. We have family dinner this upcoming Thursday, because we always watch football with our dads and significant others. I'm sure this topic will come up if she decides to attend. I'm hoping I can bring this up to her. Comments. Comment 1. Most doctors would refuse to allow you to be a surrogate as you've not previously had children. She'll be hard-pressed to find one that would. Not to mention she's asking her sister to sacrifice her body and potentially her life to fulfill her dream. That's not fair at all. If she can afford IVF, she can afford a surrogate. Comment 2. Seriously. Love how the details are just hand-waved off. Mom died from medical negligence. No further details other than undisclosed large amount of money. By this age you would know why and tell people what happened. She can't have babies due to a car accident. I can't describe what it did to her. When you describe why someone can't have babies, they fucking know. The sister would have told this story over and over and over again since it ruined her life. On getting around never having a kid for surrogacy. Oh, we go to a center of excellence, and then you get transferred to an OB-GYN. Congratulations, you googled a real term. Center of excellence means that they have high success rates and high quality of care, but it in no way means they skirt rules. In fact, they care about their success numbers so much that they're less likely to skirt rules since it may affect their numbers and status. And transferring to an OB is the normal process. Way to answer a plot hole question by faking an answer. My God, these fertility-related fake hate posts just piss me off. There's always been fertility treatment hate on Reddit. But since the hate is national now, it just pisses me off even further. Update. So I promised an update tomorrow. But my dad actually ended up calling me while I was hanging out and told me to come over for dinner yesterday night so we could talk. I want to start by saying thank you so much for all the comments and advice. Some of you were jerks to not only me, but my sister and boyfriend as well. I still appreciate the help. I didn't even ask about what, when my dad called. I figured he had spoken to Stacy. Based on comments, I know you guys won't be happy, but I spoke with my boyfriend about where his head was, if I were to go forward with it. He told me that he loved me and would support me through any and everything. But he would not continue to sit by why my sister made me feel like trash. And if I was doing this under coercion, he would not be able to support me, which I honestly completely understand. When we went over to my dad's for dinner, my sister and Bill were already there. I spoke to them both when we walked in, but only my sister replied. My Bill gave me the most disgusting look and greeted my boyfriend only. My dad sat us down at the table and there was just this awkward silence and tension I could cut with a butcher knife. He said, "Somebody talk, we need to get this resolved before the game tomorrow night." My dad loves football, LOL. I started off the conversation by telling her that I did some research and atop of my initial concerns I now had a few more and needed to know exactly what she needed from me. I first asked her what being a surrogate would look like. She just said, "Are you agreeing to it?" When I told her no, I just needed more details, she broke down crying. I asked her if she knew that a doctor would deny me from being a surrogate given that I've never successfully carried a child to term, and she said she knew that, and she would just send my Bill and I to a center of excellence. We can pretend we're a couple, and once I'm successfully inseminated, then I would request a transfer from that provider to her OB-GYN for the continuation of care. My father intervened and said that asking me to do something a doctor wouldn't sign off on was a terrible way to attempt to begin motherhood. You could tell he wasn't on board with any of it but didn't want to pick a side. He asked her why she was so uncomfortable with the idea of a surrogate. And that's when my Bill interjected and said, "Don't try to berate my wife with these stupid questions. Talk to your selfish bitch of a daughter about why she can't help her sister." That immediately shifted the mood. My boyfriend started to yell at him for calling me a bitch. My dad told him he could not disrespect his daughters in his home. Everything just went up in flames. My sister was crying, asking me to do her this favor, practically begging. I told her that if I could trade places with her I would. But I was scared and just didn't want to die. I think that was the first time I had said that out loud ever. We couldn't get more solved after that. My dad asked my Bill to leave, because he couldn't control himself and refused to apologize. When he was walking out, my sister told him she would meet him in the car, asked me to come and talk to her on the porch, just the two of us. I went out with her and she apologized for her husband calling me a bitch, said that they were just on edge, and it's been stressful. I told her that she shouldn't apologize for him, and that we'd figure something out. She asked me to reconsider and just kept saying, "You don't get it. You don't understand." When I pressured her for more, she admitted that her in-laws made a cruel joke at one of their dinners recently about how she was a murderer. Referring to the child she lost, she said she asked him why he didn't stand up for her when they made the joke, and he said because it was true. He made some weird comments about her not being able to make up for it, and how he was so excited to see what their child would look like, and how he would never be able to look into a child and see pieces of them both. So she had the idea of me carrying the child and he was super on board. But the way she said it was like he planted a seed, and she seems to believe it was her idea. She said she hadn't seen him that excited since the baby and she just needed my help to get everything back to normal. I tried to explain to her that nothing would ever be normal again, and that what she was trying to do was the wrong thing. But he just started blaring the horn, rushing her to the car, and she said she'd call me later. I feel like I may lose my sister, but I now am not even willing to donate my eggs for her to have a baby with him. I took your guys' advice and looked up the egg donation process and, wow, not at all what I expected. I want her to divorce him. I am never going to help her procreate with that man. I genuinely think I'd be a surrogate for her to be a single mom, before I'd ever allow her to place his child in me, or take my eggs to even create a child with him. I had no clue that his family was pushing so much guilt onto her. I have literally been jumping at my phone every time it rings because I know she'll be calling soon, and I'll have to tell her that. I'm terrified I'll lose my sister, but I can't, and won't do this. Probably won't update anymore, but thanks for all the help. I'll probably create my own Reddit now, because I'm kind of obsessed with the site LOL.